The following is a live special presentation of Retro Sports Network, home of the champions of the past, present, and/or future. And good afternoon, my friends. My name is Ron Chuckett. Welcome to the program for this 5th day of October 2022. It is Game 2 of our simulated 1985 World Series replay between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Toronto Blue Jays. And if you were with us last night or watched Game 1 on YouTube, you saw an absolute classic. Despite all the handicaps the Blue Jays have coming into the series, even with home field advantage, they not only held with the St. Louis Cardinals, they took the game into 11 innings before they finally fell 3-2. Toronto showed some things that they didn't need to do against the Angels. Primarily, they could run. They could play the Cardinal game of manufacturing runs, and we knew they could pitch Dave Stieb a gem until the 8th inning. The Cardinals, again, House of Tudor, although John didn't figure in the decision, is now 4-0 in his starts in the postseason. They've accounted for 4 of the 5 wins that St. Louis has. So these two teams, who ironically finished with 99 wins, the Blue Jays 62 losses, the Cardinals 63, really are 6-2 and even. How about that? Today, a couple changes for Toronto as they get turned around to face the right-handed Joaquin Andujar. Willie Upshaw is back in the lineup, and he will clean up at first base for Toronto. And Rance Mulliniks is at third. He will bat 7th. So 2 left-handed bats for Toronto. Cardinals, no changes except for Joaquin Andujar on the hill. They've won with this lineup. There will probably, as English is my favorite language, be a couple changes for St. Louis in Game 3 when they're back home, and Jimmy Key expected to pitch for Toronto. So they'll go with the Landrum and Nieto platoon at that point. But right now for St. Louis, it's the lineup that got him there, and Vince Coleman's actually starting to hit. So on a cool night in Toronto, where they're not blowing on their hands quite yet, it is Game 2 of this best of 7. It's the Toronto Blue Jays and St. Louis Cardinals, and it's coming at you next. As Retro Sports Network proudly presents the 1985 World Series. Tonight, Game 2 from Exhibition Stadium in Toronto, Ontario, between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Toronto Blue Jays. And tonight's game is brought to you by DigitalDice.com, the best darn podcast anywhere for your sports simulation and replay needs. Find us today on Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes, or wherever else fine podcasts are listed. So will be Doyle Alexander on the hill for Toronto. He pitched twice in the ALCS. How you doing, John? And it went 1-1. He pitched Game 2, a 7-4 win, and then he pitched Game 5, a 6-1 loss, I think. So he's going on 9 days rest. He can throw about 135 pitches. 14 innings for Doyle in this postseason, 15 hits, 8 runs, 6 earned. He's walked 3 and struck out 5. And this will be the lineup he'll face. It's the same one the Cardinals have run out the last 3 nights. Vince Coleman leads off in left field. Willie McGee in center will bat second. Tommy Herr at second goes third. Jack Clark cleans up at first base. Andy Van Slyke in right will bat fifth. Terry Pendleton at third will go sixth. Ozzie Smith at short will bat seventh. They mowed the lawn here, so it smells like grass. And my sinuses are just loving that. Darrell Porter, last night's hero for the Cardinals, will bat eighth behind the plate. And Joaquin Andujar gets a start on the mound. He will bat ninth. Defensively for the Blue Jays, George Bell a 5 and a 5 in left. Lloyd Mosby a 5 and a 4 in center. Jesse Barfield an 8 and a 10 in right. Rance Mulliniks gets the call today at third. He's a 3 there. Tony Fernandez an 8 at short. Garcia a 4 at second. Upshaw a 6 at first. Ernie Witt a 6 and a 3 behind the plate. Alexander a 7 on the mound with a .984 fielding percentage. Upshaw and Mulliniks are going to play for the bunt. Coleman now 5 for 39 in the postseason, but did have a base hit last night. Alexander starts game 2, and a line drive right center field for a base hit, and that's how this one starts. So here's Willie McGee, 12 for 35 in the playoffs, a homer and 5 RBI. And Coleman has a lot of speed. Alexander throws to first, and Coleman is back, and they'll pitch out here. Excuse me. Coleman was thrown out twice last night trying to steal. So if you're wondering about Ernie Witt and his 3-arm, he did the job last night. Pitch out. There goes Coleman to throw down to Fernandez, and Vince is in there. So 1-ball count to McGee, and Coleman on second. Alexander sets and deals. Line drive to third. Mulliniks is there for the out. Coleman goes back to second. So 1 out for Tommy Herr, 10 for 32 on the playoffs, with 3 RBI. We're with you tomorrow at noon Eastern. For Game 3 in St. Louis. Line drive to Garcia, 2 out. So good defense from Toronto here. And Coleman hasn't moved past second base. Here's Jack Clark, 400 on the playoffs. 2 homers and 7 RBI. Pitch from Alexander. Ball 4. So first and second now and 2 out for Andy Van Slyke. 167, 2 homers and 4 RBI. So Alexander in a bit of a jam here in the first. Wind's blowing in from center, which I'm assuming is away from the lake and toward downtown Toronto. Someone will correct me on that. Ground ball to second. Garcia goes to Upshaw at first, and that will retire the side. So the Cardinals threaten and do not score. No runs, a hit, 2 left on. Half an inning in the books. St. Louis, nothing. Here come the Jays. And so Joaquin Andujar, who is 0-1 in the NLCS, making a start. He's on full rest. I believe he lost Game 6, 5-4. So overall, 14 innings, 18 hits, 6 runs, 5 earned. The Dodgers just jumped all over him in his second appearance. Gave up a homer, walked 3, and struck out 3 so far in the playoffs. As we said, 33 years old. He throws that Bugs Bunny fastball at 83 and is a standard pitcher. And this will be the lineup he'll face. It'll be Damaso Garcia at second. He'll lead off. Lloyd Mosby in center, batting second. George Bell in left will go third. This is a lineup that we're more familiar with from the ALCS. Willie Upshaw cleans up at first. The slumping Jesse Barfield back down to fifth and right. Tony Fernandez at short will bat sixth. Rance Mulliniks gets the start today. He had a big double last night. He'll bat seventh and play third. Ernie Witt behind the plate goes eighth. And, I forgot to put in Doyle Alexander's pitcher. I should see if you guys even notice these errors. But it is Doyle Alexander and not Captain Ahab Dave Steve on the mound. Defensively for the Cardinals, Coleman a 5 and an 8 in left. McGee an 8 and a 7 in center. Van Slyke a 4 and a 9 in right. Pendleton at third. Ozzie a 9 at short. Her a 5 at second. Clark playing in for the bunt that he's not going to get. A 6 at first. Porter is a 5 and a 4 behind the plate. Nandahar is a 7 on the mound. Garcia, 333 in the postseason, 12 for 36 with 4 RBI. Tribe Fan says, let's see if Game 2 could be as good as Game 1. Boy, that would be something, wouldn't it? The World Series today, live on Twitch.tv, is brought to you by Overwatch the video game. Pitch to Garcia. Little ground ball over the mound. Ozzie's in. He has to hurry to first, and Garcia beat it out. So a leadoff single for Mosby. 375 in the playoffs with 5 RBI. And although Toronto doesn't have McGee and Coleman in their speed, as far as base stealing abilities, this team will gamble and will be aggressive. Throw to first. Garcia is back. So they go to the plate. Mosby swings. Ground ball right side. Base hit. So Van Slyke will pick it up. Garcia with a wide turnaround second before going back. So it's first and second. Nobody out for George Bell. George, 273 on these playoffs, 2 homers and 10 RBI. So the Blue Jays have stormed out of the gate. Now let's see if they can score a run. Andahar kicks and fires. Bell strikes out. And 0-2 curve got him looking. So 1 out for Upshaw. Willie pinch hit last night, 7 for 21 in the playoffs, a homer and 3 RBI. So first and second, 1 out. Got him. Andahar bearing down. He got him to look at an 0-2 fastball. So 2 out for Barfield. Again, who's been slumping. Now hitting 161 in this postseason. 5 for 31, but he did have an RBI last night. And if he can actually make some contact here, he struck out 10 times in this postseason. It could be 3-0 Toronto in a hurry. Andahar fires, and he walked him. So the bases are now loaded for Tony Fernandez. 321 of the playoffs and 3 RBI. So Garcia on third, Mosby on second, Barfield on first, and there's speed. Barfield might even try to score on a single, depending on where it's coming from, or where it goes. So Andahar in a bit of a jam here in the first. Winds and fires, and there's a slow ground ball to Clark. Fernandez trying to run. Clark underhands it to Andahar, and Tony's out. And so the Blue Jays leave them loaded. No runs, 2 hits, no errors. After 1 in Game 2, no score. So lots of offense, but nothing to show for it, as Terry Pendleton steps in to start the second. Terry at 207, a homer and 3 RBI in this postseason. Alexander starts the inning with a fly ball to right. Barfield, 1 out. For the Wizard, 10 for 31, a triple and 2 RBI. Ground ball to third. Molnix, long throw across the way. 2 out. So here's Darrell Porter. His home run last night was the first run of the game for anybody, and that came in the 8th inning. So Darrell at 467 now, a homer and 2 RBI. They don't break the numbers down by series, and there's no easy way to do it there. So we'll come up with something for when we get to St. Louis. Pitch to Porter. Gone. Well, that was quick. Right down the right field line, and it's 1-0 St. Louis. So Porter, 2 games and 2 home runs. I think you got to go back to Gene Tennis the last time that a catcher won a World Series MVP. But what a start for Porter. He homered last night in the 8th, and now homers here in the 2nd to make a 1-0 St. Louis. Of course, Porter would know this park a bit. Salvador Perez and... Oh, Rick Dempsey in 83. Yep. Sal Perez in 15, but that's 30 years later. But yeah, Rick Dempsey. So Darrell Porter angling for early honors with his 2nd home run in as many games. Here's Andujar, 2 for 4 against the Dodgers. 2 singles, 2 strikeouts. Oh, Porter was the MVP in 82? Not many people actually get the chance to be a World Series MVP twice. So Darrell knows what he's doing. Pitch to Joaquin is a line drive to Fernandez for the out. So that will retire the side, but Darrell Porter, a solo homer, is the first run of the ball game. Go to the bottom of the 2nd here in Toronto. Cardinals 1, Jays nothing. So Mullenix, Witt, and Alexander here in the 2nd. Rance, 4 for 16 against the Angels and Cardinals. Had a big double last night as the Blue Jays tried to come back. Andujar starts the 2nd with a high fly ball to right. That will stay in the yard, however. Van Slyke is there, 1 out. For Ernie Witt, 6 for 30 in the playoffs, 2 homers and 3 RBI. So 3 examples of catchers as World Series MVP. Porter in 82, Dempsey in 83, Sal Perez in 2015 for the Royals. Pitch to Witt. There's a chopper over the mound. Ozzie running in. He throws to first for the out. So 2 out for Doyle Alexander. And Doyle, just don't hurt yourself. However, as a former National League pitcher, this isn't his first rodeo at the plate. And he makes contact into shallow left center. McGee rides the Schwinn, makes the catch, and that will retire the side. No runs, no hits, no errors. After 2, St. Louis 1, Toronto nothing. So Alexander, a rough first 9 pitch count-wise. He's only given up the 2 hits and just a home run to Porter. But he's thrown 46 pitches in the process. Allowed 2 hits and hasn't struck out anybody. Coleman singled his first time up. He now has 2 hits on the series. Coleman line drive to first. Upshaw's there, 1 out. So here's McGee. Willie is 0 for 1. Toronto does not want to go to St. Louis down 2-0. A split, I think everyone would take. How you doing, Matt? But St. Louis is going to be wearing Uncle Mo and probably has some goats there as well if they can take this and go home 2-0. Then again, World Series history does dictate that you can win, you can lose the first 2 at home and win the series. I'm looking at you, 96 Yankees. Pitch to McGee. Got him! So Alexander got him to swing and miss on a 1-2 curve. 2 out for Tommy Hearn, who was 0 for 1. A Darrell Porter home run in the 2nd, the lone run of the ball game, as we played the top of the 3rd inning. And Hearn draws the walk. So here's Jack Clark. He walked his first time up. 2nd walk for Alexander. And you are walking on a tightrope anytime you put one of these top of the lineup guys on for the Cardinals, just because they are so fast. Throw to first. And Herr is back. Alexander's pitch. He walks Clark. So 1st and 2nd now, 2 out. 3rd walk from Alexander. Another long inning from Doyle. Dennis Lamp goes down to the bullpen. And here's Andy Van Slyke, who's 0 for 1. And that ball is gone. And it's 4-0 St. Louis. So again, the power of the Cardinals has come into fruition. Alexander slams the ball back in the glove, and for Van Slyke, that's his third homer of the postseason. Here it is again, and that ball is just ripped. So St. Louis surprised the Dodgers by beating them with power. And in Game 2 against the Blue Jays, all 4 runs have come via the home run. So here's Pendleton. He's 0 for 1. And of course, if you look at the Blue Jay lineup on the upper right part of your screen, guess who is at the bottom of the lineup? Alexander. So you can't pinch hit for him right now, or else you'd think about it. Popped up left side. Fernandez moves out in the outfield and will make the catch. But that was a big inning for the Cardinals. Andy Van Slyke, another 3-run homer, his second and third in 3 games. And after 2.5, it's St. Louis 4, Toronto nothing. So Andujar, 30 pitches for his opening 9. 2 innings, 2 hits, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. Garcia singled to start the ballgame for the Jays. He swings a high ground ball. Ozzie dives, stops by the bag at second, throws to first, and it retires Garcia. So 1 out for Mosby, who singled his first time up. Andujar's pitch. Fly ball left field. Coleman in the corner, and Vince will make the play. 2 out. So Andujar, kind of like Stella, has started to find his groove. Bells struck out in the first. In the left center. Back goes McGee. That's well hit, but playable. And that will retire the side. No runs, no hits, and no errors. We go to the 4th here in Toronto. Cardinals 4, Toronto nothing. So Smith, Porter, and Andujar to face Alexander here in the 4th. Ozzie is 0 for 1 today. Fly ball, right field, Barfield, 1 out. Darryl Porter homered in the second. His second of the World Series. Chopper to first. Upshaw takes it to the bag himself. 2 out. So an easier inning for Alexander. And here's Andujar, who's 0 for 1. Pitch to Joaquin. Ground ball to third. Mullenix with a dive. He gets up to throw, and they're going to get Andujar to retire the side. So Alexander finally got an easy inning. But it's taken him 4 frames to get there. No runs, no hits, no errors. Bottom of the 4th, 4-0 St. Louis. I got a drop here? No, I don't. I'm going to get a cough drop. Hold on. That didn't work. All right, so cough drop in. My wife's been out sick again today, and I've got kind of a cold. Doing better than Willie Upshaw, who's 0 for 1 with a strikeout, though. 4-0 St. Louis as we start the bottom of the 4th. Pitch to Willie's a fly ball left center field. Back goes McGee. But all Andujar is giving up is atom balls. They're just hitting him right at the Cardinal fielders. And this break in the action is brought to you by, nope, Luden's Sugar-Free Wild Cherry, but thanks for playing. Ricola. Available at any store. Barfield walked his first time up. And this time he lines one to Ozzie Smith for the out. So 2 out for Tony Fernandez, who is 0 for 1. Tribe fan, you can hear me, right? John lost the audio. That's not good. I don't know why Twitch has such a hard time on the phone. Considering I'm sure that's where most of the people who watch on Twitch are watching on the phone. Pitch to Tony. There's a line drive to Ozzie, and that will retire the side. A great leaping catch to rob him of a hit. And so we are through 4. Andahar pitching so well. 4-0 St. Louis. So Alexander, probably at the point where you got a pinch hit for him. No, the Twitch app, I think, is kind of fussy. John got a new phone, thought the problems were on his old phone. Apparently not. I'm just feeding the server. Here's Coleman, 1 for 2. Alexander opening 18, 83 pitches. 4 innings, 3 hits, the 2 homers. Van Slyke and Porter. He has walked 3 and struck out 1. Coleman strikes out. So 1-2 curve is in there for strike 3. 1 out for McGee, who is 0 for 2 with a strikeout. I don't get it, because I would think of all the things that would be mobile dependent, Twitch would be it. I forget how much of my YouTube traffic is mobile. There are a lot of people who watch me on their tablet, too. Pitch to McGee, who's 0 for 2. There's a line drive. Garcia snags it. A diving stop by Damaso Garcia, and there's 2 out. So here's her. Tommy has walked and scored. He's 0 for 1. All 4 Cardinal runs have come via the long ball today. Pitch to her. Ground ball to Fernandez. Tony throws to first. And we're halfway home in game 2. The Blue Jays need something to happen. Good for them. No runs, no hits, no errors. After 4.5, 4-0 Cardinals. Well, if you join us late, here's how we got here. The Blue Jays had 2 hits and a walk in the first and could not score. Darrell Porter hit his second home run of the series in the second to make it 1-0 St. Louis. Then Andy Van Slyke, one of those feast or famine hitters in the postseason, jammed a 3-run homer down the line and right, and it's 4-0 St. Louis. So Andahar, a 2-hitter through 4. With a walk and 2 strikeouts. Alexander, a 3-hitter through 5. All 4 runs are earned. He has walked 3 and struck out 2. Here's Mullenix. He's 0 for 1. John says, I know it's not my connection, as it happens when I'm on the Wi-Fi too. Doesn't happen watching or listening to YouTube. All YouTube likes to do now is pause and rewind really fast. So the pitch to Mullenix. Rants up the middle past her for a base hit. And Dennis Lamp is now warming in the pen. Here's Witt. Ernie is 0 for 1. Andahar goes to the plate. There's a high fly ball, right center field. Back goes McGee, and it's 4-2. A home run to dead center, and the Blue Jays are back in it. So for Witt, his third home run of the postseason, and they've all been here in Toronto. And so now, what do you do with Alexander? There's nobody out. He hasn't pitched that poorly. Hasn't pitched well. So a big 2 runs for the Blue Jays here after I dropped in the cough drop. So we'll let Alexander try to pitch the 6th. With a runner on base, I think you make the move, but with the bases empty and you just have the lead, let's see what Alexander can do. He hits one into right center. McGee coming in, rides a Schwinn, 1 out. So Andahar, 18 batters in the books, 55 pitches, 4 1/3 innings, 4 hits. The long ball to Witt made it 4-2, so both of those runs are earned. He has walked 1 and struck out 2. Garcia is 1 for 2. He has himself a single. Chopper to Ozzie. Smith picks it up, throws to first, 2 out. Maybe? Yes. So here's Mosby. Lloyd is 1 for 2. Blue Jays have 4 hits. The Cardinals have 3. Mosby has one of those. He's got a second as he grounds that one in the hole on the right side. Van Slyke will pick it up, and George Bell is a tying run. Bell is 0 for 2 with a strikeout today. So Andahar is scuffling here in the bottom of the 5th. Throws to first. Mosby not going anywhere, and he still won't be going anywhere. Bell. And they pitch out. Ooh. And now I think you do it. So a 2 out. There goes Mosby. Porter's throw down to her is not in time. So the Cardinals visited too much with Mosby, and Lloyd took advantage of it. And so now he is in scoring position for Bill with a 1-1 count in a 4-2 ball game in the bottom of the 5th. Pitch to Bell. High fly ball. That's playable. McGee going back to the track, but that will be an out. And that will retire the side. But the Jays make some noise on the 2-run homer by Witt. 2 runs, 3 hits, and no errors. We go to the 6th here in Game 2. It's St. Louis 4, Toronto 2. So here's Clark. He has walked twice. Van Slyke and Pendleton to follow. Alexander starts the 6th. Line drive, left field. That's going to bounce around the corner. Bell will fish it out. Clark rounds first. Jack digging for 2. Melnick should have had that ball. The throw is going to be cut off by Fernandez. And Clark has a 1 out, a nobody out double. Or a leadoff double. So here is Van Slyke. Andy has driven in 3 today with his home run in the 3rd. Alexander from the set delivers a ground ball to Fernandez. Tony goes to first to retire Van Slyke, and Clark will hold at second. 1 out for Pendleton. I don't see a scenario where Alexander would bat again. Pitch to Pendleton. Fly ball to right. Barfield, 2 out. Clark took a wide lead off his second. Goes back to tag. And the throw to third. This might actually be close. Clark running for third. To throw to Monix. Safe. So Clark challenged Barfield, who has a howitzer of an arm. Now, it's so hard to play matchups with the Cardinals. So many switch hitters. And they have 5. And Andujar makes 6. The Blue Jays missed the DH for sure. Ozzy's 0 for 2. Clark on third. Ozzy into right field. So Alexander gets the job done. Barfield will make the catch, and the Cardinals do not score. No runs, a hit, no errors. We go to the bottom of the 6th here in Toronto, 4-2, St. Louis. Andujar, he who once who called a shot. So Upshaw, Barfield, and Fernandez to face Andujar here in the 6th. Willie's 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Draws the walk for Barfield, who is 0 for 1 with a walk. Second walk given up by Andujar. Barfield in the right field. Back goes Van Slyke, way back there, and that is caught. That ran out of steam. Barfield just got a little bit under it. And there's 1 out for Fernandez, who's 0 for 2. Pitch to Tony. There's a fly ball to right. Van Slyke in the corner. Makes a catch, 2 out. So here's Mullenix. Rams 1 for 2. Singled and scored on the Witt homer in the 5th. Blue Jays will probably let Alexander start the inning. Mullenix 1 for 2 with the run scored. Andujar believed it once and hit his bomb. Did it again later and struck out. There's a lot from Joaquin Andujar. No one would ever call him a shrinking violet for sure. Pitch to Mullenix. Got him. And so that's the inning. We go to the 7th. No runs, no hits, no errors. After 6, 4-2 St. Louis. So Porter, Andujar, and Coleman to face Alexander here in the 7th. Porter's solo shot in the 2nd was the first run of the ball game. High ground ball to first. Upshaw. 1 out. 2 new followers. Orko 3333. And David _ Junior 400. Gives us 245 here. Here's Andujar. Joaquin is 0 for 2. Ground ball to short. Fernandez across the way for the out. So 2 out for Coleman, who's 1 for 3. Alexander, 6 2/3, 118 pitches for 27 batters, 4 hits. The 2 home runs, Van Slyke and Porter. He has walked 3 and struck out 2. Coleman into left field in the corner. Bell, and it is stretch time, 4-2 St. Louis. So we've gotten down to 47 degrees. Pitchers can blow in our hands. Wind blowing in from right at center and 11. Witt 1 for 2. He had a solo shot or 2-run shot in the 5th. As Andahar starts the bottom of the 7th. Ernie, a hard ground ball to first. Clark, 1 out. And so, who can hit a righty coming up? And it's going to be Garth Ord, believe it or not. Ord, 4 for 18 in the playoffs. A homer and 2 RBI. He will not go into play third. This will be a pure pinch hit. Andahar winds and deals, and Org is into shallow right center. McGee coming in, rides a Schwinn one for the out, 2 away. Van Slyke came in. McGee called for it and made the catch in shallow right center. Here's Garcia. Damaso 1 for 3 with a single. Andahar 6 2/3, 85 pitches, 5 hits. The homer to Witt. He has walked 2 and struck out 3. He sets and fires, and Garcia sends one into right center for extra bases. Van Slyke picks it up. Garcia is into second standing with a 2-out double. For Mosby, who was a tying run, he is 2 for 3. He has singled twice and stolen a base. Pitch to Lloyd. Right back to him. Andahar, who bobbles it, picks it up, throws to first, and they got him. So Andahar lost the handle, did the smart thing and let the ball drop, and then threw out the runner. So no runs, a hit, and they leave a runner on. They've left on 6. They've left off 17 in the first 2 games. After 7, 4-2 St. Louis. Switchy righty. Wow. They'll bring in Lavelle, who pitched last night. Gary, in his inning last night, 11 pitches and 2 strikeouts, 36 years old, fastball at 89, a ground ball plus pitcher. McGee, Herr, and Clark, and they're all bat right-handed here. As John said earlier, trying to play matchup against the Cardinals is extremely tough. McGee is 0 for 3 with a strikeout. In the left field. Back goes Bell, and that's going to come back to bite him in the bippy as it's 5-2. A home run for McGee. Goodness gracious. And so all 5 Cardinal runs have come via the homer. Mike from the truck. So McGee makes it 5-2. And St. Louis on the verge of going home with a 2-game lead. They did it against the Dodgers with their power. I mean, you look at this. How many home runs did the Cardinals hit in '85? Tonight, in Game 2, they have 3. Here's her. Tommy is 0 for 2, a walk and a run scored. Lavelle deals. Got him. An 0-2 curve on the inside corner. How you doing, Mr. Howard? Here's Clark, who you'd expect to have some power. He had a double. He's 1 for 1. He's walked twice. So the Cardinals, again, are winning on the base of their lumber, and not necessarily because of their Reeboks. 5 runs, 5 hits, no errors for the Cardinals. They've left on 3. The Jays, 2 runs, 6 hits, no errors, and they've left on 6. And I don't care who you are. You leave on 17 runners in 2 games, you're going to be down 2 games to none. Pitch to Clark. Popped up. Fernandez will make the catch. 2 out. So here's Van Slyke, and I'm sure they'll pinch hit here. Andy, that big 3-run job in the 3rd was huge. They made it 4-0 St. Louis. He's going to stay in the ball game, hit a ground ball to 3rd. Mullenix across the way for the out. So St. Louis thinks they got it in hand. 1 run on the homer by Willie McGee, who was wearing a raspberry beret, the kind you find at a second-hand store. Bottom of the 8th, it's 5-2 St. Louis. So the Goats are happy, but Canada is not happy. By the way, Rush did the national anthem today before Game 2. So Bell, Upshaw, and Barfield to face Andahar, who might go the distance. Pitch to George. There's a base hit in the right center field. And that's a 7th Toronto hit. Here's Upshaw. Willie is 0 for 2, a walk and a strikeout. You never want to say that Game 2 is a must-win game in a best-of-7. But you can flatten out Mohill if they can get the split. Andahar throws to first. Bell is back. Toronto needs something from Barfield, especially. Upshaw is 0 for 2 in Game 2 with a walk and a strikeout. Pitch from Andahar. There's a line drive to her, and Bell is thrown out. They double off George Bell. And there's 2 out, nobody on for Barfield, who is 0 for 2 with a walk. So again, the Blue Jays are threatened and run themselves out of it. So Andahar, nobody on, 2 out, 8th inning. Winds and kneels, and Barfield rips one into left center for an extra base hit. Coleman plays it off the wall. Jesse is going to hold at second. Don't get thrown out. Yeah, chances are he could, but he's going to score on a base hit anyway. So here's Fernandez. Tony is 0 for 3. 2 out, bottom of the 8th, 5-2 St. Louis. Pitch to Fernandez. A high ground ball to her. Tommy navigates the hops, throws it to Clark, and that will retire the side. The Blue Jays, they would have scored if Bell hadn't been doubled off at first. No runs, 2 hits, no errors. Go to the 9th here in Game 2, 5-2 St. Louis. So Pendleton, Smith, and Porter and Lavelle will start the 9th. Terry is 0 for 3. Remember, Lavelle pitches great against right-handed hitters as well. Little ground ball to Upshaw. Willie, 1 out. So in the 9th inning for Toronto, Mullenix, Witt in the pitcher spot. Here's Ozzie. Ozzie is 0 for 3 on a cold night here on Lake Ontario. Lavelle deals, and he draws the walk. And so they'll play the odds and let Lavelle pitch to Porter. Darrell 1 for 3, hit a solo home run in the 2nd. Throw to first, and Ozzie's back. Only 5 hits for the Cardinals. Should be 2. Fernandez Goes the long way for Porter, and Darrell is safe on the infield hit. So they get nobody. Fernandez didn't think he could get Ozzie, and the late throw doesn't get Porter. And Andujar's going to stay in. Witt and Lavelle have a word. It's not what I wanted. And he struck him out. So there's 2 out for Coleman, who's a switch hitter. 1 for 4. Lavelle says, I'm tired. And they got to hold it. So in comes Henke for the first time in this series. Henke pitched 2 2/3 against the Angels. He did get a save. 2 hits and 3 strikeouts in his 3 games in that set, including the 5-0 Game 7 win where he went an inning. So he's on almost a week's rest. He struck out 1 that night. He is here to get out of it and hold the line at 5-2. But you're going to have to pinch hit in the bottom of the 9th anyway. So Henke deals to Coleman. Runners go. That's into left center. Mosby coming in, and that will retire the side. Henke does his job. No runs, a hit, no errors. So we go to the bottom of the 9th here in Game 2. St. Louis 5, Toronto 2. So Mullenix, Witt, and a pinch hitter to face Andujar with a 3-run lead in the 9th. Rance is 1 for 3. He has struck out, singled, and scored. Andujar starts the inning with a walk. So here's Witt. Ernie, the 2-run homer in the 5th, 1 for 3. He is not the tying run, but outside of Worrell and Henke, these bullpens combined are charter members of the Union of the International Federation of Dumpster Fire. Pitch to Witt. Got him. So 1 out. And here comes Al Oliver. Al, 7 for 24 in the playoffs, 3 homers and 6 RBI. So Andujar trying to go the distance here in Game 2. Deals to Oliver, who laces one into right field. Van Slyke will pick it up. And now the Blue Jays have the tying run on, and 1 out for Garcia, who is 2 for 4. He has singled and doubled. That's right, Billy Joel is not a member of the Dumpster Fire Order because he, among others, didn't start the fire. And he would remind you that it's been burning since the world's been turning. So Garcia, with Mosby and Bell to follow, Ryan started the fire. Actually, wasn't it Mrs. O'Leary's cow? So Andujar, I think he's going to stay in here. Porter and Andujar have a few words. Joaquin tries to gather himself, and Garcia sends this one to right. Mullenix is going to hold. They are loaded for Mosby. So, yeah, that Ryan's an Office reference. And Andujar says he's okay. Whitey says, sure, Jan. That's a Brady Bunch reference. And brings in Todd Worrell. So they are loaded. Mosby, by the way, is the winning run. Worrell, 3 appearances in this postseason, inning and 2/3. He is the Rookie of the Year, by the way, next year. 26 years old, an extreme fly ball pitcher. Fastball at 91. He got the save in Game 7. He got the last out. So an inning and 2/3, a hit, a run. He gave up a homer to the Dodgers. In LCS, he has walked 1 and struck out 2. But after Lottie and Campbell nearly blew last night's game, you gotta lock it down. 1 out. Bell on deck. Here's Mosby, 2 for 4. He has singled twice and stolen a base. Pitch to Lloyd. Got him, and they're down to their last out. A 1-2 curve. So here's Bell. He is 1 for 4. He has singled and struck out. Mullenix on third. Oliver, the tying run on second. And Garcia, the tying run on first. Bell, the winning run at the plate. And Worrell trying to slam the door to send us back 2-0 St. Louis. He deals. Fly ball right field. Van Slyke will make the catch, and the Cardinals have taken the first 2 in Toronto. The Jays have made some noise, but not been able to do anything. Gosh, they left on 10 tonight. 5 runs, 6 hits, no errors. The Cardinals leave on 5. The Jays, 2 runs, 10 hits, no errors. And they left on 10. So Joaquin Andujar, I thought this one they're 2 even teams. But St. Louis has one, as John says, a couple of nail biters. Andujar, 8 1/3, 10 hits, 2 runs, both earned a homer to Witt. They've walked 3 and struck out 4. And Worrell gets the 2-batter save with a strikeout. Alexander, it was the homer by Van Slyke, who was your Digital Dice MVP in the 3rd, that made all the difference in the world. Lavelle tried his best. He gave up the homer to McGee, and then Hankey just there to pitch the 1 pitch, or the 1 batter. And so everybody gets a day off to rest, except for us, because we'll be back with you at noon tomorrow. The Cardinals, you got to think, yep, the rest of the staff isn't so hot. Well, you will get Steve back for Game 4. But Jimmy Key needs to pitch the game of his life tomorrow against Danny Cox. And so we'll leave it there for now. I'm Ron Juckett. Thank you so much for watching the Cardinals. Although the final score today was 5-2, this one has been nip and tuck all the way. But yeah, Toronto, their season's going to rest on the left arm of Jimmy Key. Until then, we'll talk to you tomorrow, noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, for Game 3 of the '85 series. So long, everybody.